can cut genes, we can insert different genes, we can change the functionality of genes using many different technologies. So today, instead of allowing a disease to continue, we can intervene by providing a patient's own cells have been modified, putting them back in the patient in a modified way to cure a disease or a situation. We know we can grow bones. We know that we can change sight. We know that there are so many things that we can grow new heart tissue. We can replace organs. We're doing all of these things today in research, in regenerative medicine business, which we're involved in, and others here in the audience are involved in. There are more than 1,000 clinical trials going on today in a wide range of diseases, many of which are cancers that have been uncurable, which now have the promise of being cured through these technologies. But having said that, that doesn't negate the importance of the things that we talked about before. Preventing disease is extremely important. There are only about 900 or so diseases which are genetic in their aspect. There are a lot of diseases that come from age, the aging process. We wear things
So that
out.
brings up a good question. I want to ask the audience, actually. So we have this question of nature versus nurture, right? How much of health is attributed to the our patient's behavior, our behavior, versus science or what the doctor can do to cure us? How many of you think that has more to do with patient's responsibility? Raise a hand.
Can you add a time frame?
How many? how many think it's the doctor's responsibility or science's responsibility? Okay, well, you guys all know the answer. But we all know about genomics, right? There's a lot of talk about genomics and how our genomics can affect disease or be predictors of disease, and we can change and not only predict but prevent disease through genomic research and treatments. There's basically 3 biological aspects that affect our health. One is genomics, our genotype. The other is phenotype, which is how our cells are expressed. And the third is epigenetics, which is our behavior. So there's 3 aspects. So and Fred can speak to this in a little bit more detail, but you'll be surprised how much of our health is affected by our behavior. If you want to go into that a little bit, Fred, and talk about the differences and percentage of each of those aspects that are attributed to our health.
All the time until the discovery of human genome and the work on genetics, the whole medical system ran on what I call 15% of information about the human body, and that's essentially phenotypic information, kind of late information. Some cell goes wrong in your body, 4 years later it finds its way to your heart, and you get a heart problem. And our system reacts to that. And all these great stuff that, in fact, heart has been one of the most worked on and successful pieces of work in old allopathic medicine. What do? We basically do rootering, taking something from your leg, putting it in here. We're not curing it. We're just trying to maintain this thing. And so that 15% information is all there was to the rise and success of allopathic medicine until genetic came up. And I couldn't agree with you more. We now have tools that are just incredible. We can do a tremendous amount of work with genetics. But even then, when we started that, everybody thought that was the ultimate answer. That is not the only answer. That's another 20% of information, according to all the literature. The real big piece is epigenetic. It's how your genes express themselves and how what you could do through behavioral change to make sure those genes express in the right way. And just like what you're talking about, the stress management, I couldn't agree with you more. Fantastic. Love talking about it. But this is got to be incorporated in everybody's life. And so it has been proven when you can manage the stress. You have telomeres, man? if you do some physical activity or you don't sit around telling your thing, your life gets better. So this whole ability to manage, many examples in literature, two sisters born a minute apart as twins, one left for Japan and one married and went to Japan. One lived here. They both had BRCA1 and BRCA2 gene problem. One of them got it, the other one didn't get it. You are not doomed to your genes. You can change that expression. This is one of the biggest things that has come out. People think they got genetically something wrong with them and then that's it. You can absolutely deny that. You can. I
Your DNA is not your destiny.
No, I mean, it is your destiny if you don't want that. It's the way
If you don't do anything, it's your destiny.
Yeah, exactly. So this whole area is so exciting. For the first time, this becomes respectable. It actually makes me unhappy when I go to this. Oh, it's a double-blind study. Just calm down. These are the finest discoveries with Nobel Prize winners involved, and they have proven it. It just works. And it's very interesting. The American Heart Association, American Diabetes Association, and AMA, finally with the tail between their legs, come back and say, first-line therapy for these diseases of inflammatory, this is what? Natural approach, not allopathic medicine. By the way, I believe in some allopathic medicine because people get one side or the other side. Illness and wellness got to be on the same axis. You can't do it. So episodes of care you need, you have to get first-rate work, let's say in the hospital, like that. You have to sort of get around these problems and sort of understand what is the science, how do we use all the information we got to do this beautiful new gene work. I started a company years ago with 3 sets of professors from MIT, Harvard, and Columbia, and we were in genetic business, one of the first gene therapy companies. It's called Genetics. I ran it for 3 years. Anyway, long short of it is I was telling him, I couldn't give it to them for the first 3 years. We changed the name. It's called Bluebird Bio today. What I couldn't give away is now worth $10 million market. Every time this happens to me, because they say, no, it's not good. You don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean you don't know what you're talking about? I can't deny the science.
It's too far ahead of your time, Fred.
Anyway, I'll stop here.
So Fred brings up a really good point. He's talking about telomeres. So does everyone know what telomeres are?
Yes.
Everybody knows what they are? Okay. No?
No.
Okay. All right. So this telomeres, and Fred will go into it a little bit, and we'll show a video just to explain a little bit more. But for the first time, this is where health and wellness and science are interacting. So telomeres can actually tell us how long we're going to live and how healthy we are. It's a scientific measurement. We can actually take a blood test and we can tell how long each and every person's telomeres are. It's the best predictor of length of life and health, essentially. So we can connect that with a health and wellness program and actually have feedback on how we're doing. How long are we going to live, and how much are we reducing stress by
What
our
quality
levels,
of life?
what quality of life that we're going to have. So let's show a video, and we'll talk a little bit about telomeres. And Fred's company, by the way, is in there. Of course.
You did that for a client.
Prevent or reverse many chronic diseases more effectively than traditional medicine alone. Our approach to improving wellness is based on Nobel Prize-winning discoveries in the cell biology of telomeres and new research on lifestyle interventions that have been shown to restore and maintain telomere health. Telomere health is the most predictive biomarker of aging and chronic diseases ever discovered. Telomeres are the tips of our chromosomes. Like the tips of a shoelace, they protect our DNA from unraveling and many other potential sources of damage that would otherwise impair the normal function of the genes. Every time our cells divide, as they do around the clock, the telomeres tend to get a little shorter, which makes them an excellent indicator of chronological cellular aging and explains the functional decline of organs and tissues as we age. When telomeres become critically short, cells stop their normal function altogether, and cellular aging and functional decline occur. Short telomeres initiate a cascade of harmful events in the cell that affect other subcellular organelles, such as mitochondria, the energy factory for our cells. To counter these effects, the enzyme telomerase, which is active in our stem cells and other cells that renew over time, can reverse telomere shortening by adding back lost DNA, thereby enabling the rejuvenation of cells, tissues, and organs throughout our life. We can slow down the natural rate of telomere shortening in most of our cells by adopting very specific lifestyle changes, including exercise, stress management, social support, and most importantly, by consuming nutrient-dense food as recommended by Dr. Joel Furman, our Chief of Nutritional Medicine. Doctors Dean Ornish and Nobel laureate Elizabeth Blackburn demonstrated that telomere length increased significantly in patients who adopted these lifestyle changes.
You stop there. So
Rejuvenon programs will help you achieve the same results by customizing specific lifestyle changes that match your individual biochemical, genetic, behavioral, and medical profiles.
So what do you think, just everyone guess, what do you think the number one reason for causing short telomeres is? Anyone want to answer? Yes. Anybody else?
Old age. Living long.
Anything else?
Sedentary
Sedentary
lifestyle.
Sedentary lifestyle? Kevin?
Oxidative stress.
Anybody else?
Alcohol.
Alcohol? Okay, well, those are all right answers, actually, to different degrees. But the number one reason is stress, and Jim told you a little bit about that. So, Jim, you actually are doing sort of your own study, right, where you're having a doctor test your telomeres as a result of trying this device. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and what your experience has been?
We have 52 doctors on our medical advisory board, and when you have a technology that's invented that makes a claim that we can help lower your stress and improve your sleep quality without drugs, you get the attention of the top doctors in the world, whether they want to prove it or disprove it. That's easy. I love to be a guinea pig. I'm 50 years old. I travel about 300 days a year all over the world. My lifestyle is terrible. It's exhausting or relaxing to me. It's the irony of my life. I'm healthier today than I've been in my entire life. I did 4 hours of testing, bioimpedance, all these technologies in Germany with a doctor in LA. He came back to me and he hugged me. He's a Russian-American doctor. He's not known that verbally and enthusiasm. He literally hugged me and gave me a kiss on the cheek and said, "You have the strongest immune system of anybody I've ever tested in 38 years. What are you taking?" I said, "I don't take anything. I manage my stress with Nucalm. By managing stress, guess what? You sleep better. You can't sleep well when you're stressed out. And I drink a lot of water. That's why I've got skin of like a 16-year-old female. There's a lot of water in me. So one of the benefits of doing what
That
we
might
do
be an overstatement.
is minus the stubble, okay? Sorry. It's a fascinating and ironic journey we're on. I think about this often because it's perplexing to me that we can't figure out right under our noses what's killing all of us. And I think, well, what limits us in the human condition? Two things I can think of. One, we have a difficult time as humans to conceptualize the intangible. You know stress is bad, but you can't see it. You can't feel it. And therefore, we don't really understand that. The second constraint for us as humans is we have a terrible ability for time horizon management. We know smoking cigarettes kills us. Yet when you're 16, 17 years old, you smoke cigarettes. We know going in the sun kills us. Yet we go in the sun because it's so far in the future. Well, stress isn't going to kill you until your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Your resilience will start breaking down. Why? The telomere speaks to it. It's about the mitochondria and the cellular health. If you're not getting restorative sleep, which is the theta brainwave pattern, it's just above deep sleep, it's the only time your body cleans toxins out of the cells and does its maintenance. Biology, ladies and gentlemen, is frequency and communication. Cells have a job to do. A really good example is a killer cell. A killer cell has a job to do. It goes and locates cancer cells. We all have cancer in our body right now. A killer cell has a job. Go find the party where the cancer cells are. Introduce yourself and kill them. Over time, mitochondria, communication breakdowns, those killer cells go to the party and they say, wow, this is fun. They forget what they're supposed to do, and it proliferates. It's a really good example to showcase what this is all about. So in the world that we live in, all I see is our ability to put the foot on the accelerator. Between 2 and 4, the human body wants to take a nap. Between 2 and 4, Americans go and get espresso. We run through that wall. But we don't understand the negative long-term consequence. Chronic stress will kill all of us. Now, if we're lucky, we'll get 3 or 4 diseases. We'll have irritable bowel syndrome, heart issues, and cancer. Cells, it's all about communication. This is black and white anatomy and physiology. None of us are immune to it. None of us. We think we are. But I see the folks in this room, we're all in a place where I know you're all feeling inflammation. I know sometimes you wake up and you're like, ugh. You can feel the barometric pressure of the weather change in your elbow or wherever you have, joint pain. So we have to do something about it. Briefly, let me explain to you how NUCALM works. The body and the brain communicate only 2 ways, chemical messaging and electrical messaging. We are going to put the brakes on the stress response and raise the rest response, like a monk does, okay? We're going to do it through a cream and a stimulation device. That's the biochemistry. There's something really important in the world called inhibitory neurotransmitters. Not excitatory, but inhibitory. And the main amino acid is called GABA. Anybody ever heard of GABA? Gamma-aminobutyric acid? Without it, we die. It's what turns our brain off at night. It slows down the adrenal cortex. So in the NUCALM system, we're going to apply GABA to you, the body's natural amino acid, to put the brakes on. Then we're going to use $3 million of the most sophisticated patented neuroacoustic software, all this physics, all this algorithms and mathematics and pitch and frequency and binaural signal processing, and we're using your ears to present the caudate nucleus of your midbrain for the pattern. We are doing entrainment through your ears. It's underneath the music and yet inaudible to the human ear. What you can't hear, you can't resist. So I remember doing a lecture at the Royal College of Physicians in London, and the audience didn't understand a word I was saying because I was using a lot of 50-cent neuroscience words, and I just stopped. And I raised my fingers like this, and I said, resistance is futile. And they all giggled. And I said, when this technology commandeers both channels of communication between the brain and the body to a desired outcome, there is no escape. Your escape is relaxation. So we use biochemistry and physics to entrain your brainwave function into what's called alpha and theta, just above sleep. Because everybody in this panel knows the body is designed to create homeostasis, and that's balance. We can heal ourselves if we have the nutrients and we take stress away. But we, like the monks call it, have monkey brain, which is over 1,000 thoughts an hour. It's us that's in the way of our body. That's it. We want to be in balance. We know we want to be in balance.
I have to tell a story about how I discovered Jim's company. And just want to introduce some people over here from Third Seven. And you guys will relate to this from an investor banking perspective, right? Because we all get decks and, we read through them and it's like, I don't know if this is believable. Is this for real? So Matthew sent me the deck of Jim's company and NUCALM, and I looked at the deck and I thought, you know what, this is too good to be true. There's no way. We go back to the quackery thing. It's like, does this really work? Does this really do all of those things? So I asked Matthew, I said, I read the deck, and it's interesting that, the top athletes are using this, and I don't know a lot of athletes. I'm not big into sports, but Dubrovnik, he's a great tennis player, and he wins. And Tony Robbins, he uses it. I also know marketing, right? So I thought, maybe we just put some big names behind it. I asked Matthew his personal experience. I'm like, Matthew, did you try this? He's like, yeah, because I never slept so good in my life. All right. So I said, all right, I actually sat it on the shelf for a month or two. I'm like, I don't know. I'll think about it. And then I said, you know what? I want to come into the offices and I want to try it myself. I'm going to see if it works. So I came in to their office in Third Seven, not a really comfortable place. we had a meeting for most of the time, and they're like, you know what, you're almost out of time. Do you really want to try this stuff? And I'm like, all right, I have 15 minutes. Let's go. I timed my watch. I set an alarm because I had a call in 15 minutes. So I tried it. I tried NUCALM for 15 minutes. I went into a deep, beyond meditative state to what I now know is a beta state, beyond alpha, beyond what the monks do. So for 15 minutes, I went beyond what monks do. Let me tell you something. I came out of that. I woke up and I thought, holy shit. I feel like I went on an ashram for 2 months. And I've never been on an ashram. But now I know what it feels like. So after that, I'm like, all right, I gotta meet Jim. I gotta see the deck. I gotta meet the people behind it. I have to understand the science. And I was blown away. I continue to be blown away every day. And I get blown away by every single one of these companies for different reasons. Fred's company is unbelievable. And Orgenesis is unbelievable. So, once you get sort of that personal experience, it's really, really amazing. And I love for Fred to talk about his personal experience with his products because I thought this was really interesting, the number. So Fred has his number, right? So what did you start out with, Fred? What was your number and how are you tracking it?
Let me just add something to what you said, is that stress is really absolutely managing is vital. But if you then combine it with the right nutrition and those other 3 elements, and you do all of that because your microbiome, your second brain, is really also very involved. So it's not means just putting one away. So I'm integrating all of that. And to combine the scores really...
Well, what was your number to start
So
with?
when I first started, my parents...
You went down and then up.
Yeah,
What
my
did you
parents
do?
were diabetic, adult onset, in the late 70s and 80s. And so I got very concerned. 4 years ago when I started moving into this direction heavily, I took my hemoglobin A1C for the first time, it was close to 7. And I said, wow, based on all the literature that I read, I said, that's just not a good number. I went to my doctor and he said, no, don't worry about it. It's okay. ADA says if it's below 7 or 7, you're fine. And I said, Doc, I don't think so. The literature says otherwise. Of course, he's not my doctor anymore. But anyway, the bottom line is the number is in the low 5s. And how you treat it, of course, is a different story. But anyway, I went on my system and took some metformin, like a lot of people do, doctors do, and I think it's important to make sure that you prevent some things from going on. But then don't stay in it forever and you keep getting pills and more metformin. In 9 months, I got rid of it, basically, through lifestyle change. My score was 71 in my system because we have a scoring system for each biomarker, and then the overall health score, which is like you have to have some kind of a measurement.
And how long were your telomeres?
Well, basically, the 10 biomarkers are really indicative of the telomere lengthening and shortening. They're the elements of those telomere activity. Anyway, the bottom line is that I scored a 71 for my age, was pretty good. It took me 3 years, and don't take any pill at all in my age, and today, and my score went to 92. It took me a long time. I had a back surgery last summer. It dropped back to 77, and I'm fighting my way back now up to 82, 83, which is going to take me a long time. They'll do a lot more displacing and do a lot of So it works. And we've had it in hundreds of times. We just went out and hopefully we get a lot of population study to demonstrate that when you put these 4 elements in your life properly, and you have a system to keep track of it, the good thing about what we offer is that we take a lot of the guesswork out of this for you. And so your phone is like a kind sibling, kind mother or annoying sibling is going to constantly tell you, do this, do that, do the other, until you shut it off. But we then move you, step by step. But based on really evidence-based stuff that works, not just saying, this is touchy-feely stuff, you do this and you do the other one. Anyway, that's
So that's interesting. So now, if we have all of these devices, right, that you can have on your phone on an app, essentially, you have Teladoc. So Teladoc or that kind of concept's part of Fred's company as well. Do we need a doctor? That's the question, right? So does this change our reliance on hospitals and doctors? So, what do you think about that, Joel? And do you foresee, can we bring these types of products into a hospital, or do we need a doctor at all until we have an emergency?
Yeah, well, I think
I think we're gonna need doctors for a long time. I think there's the nature of doctoring is changing a lot, so think about what AI is gonna bring to the practice of pathology or radiology. I don't think we're gonna need doctors looking for patterns and images anymore. That's somewhere down the road. But I do think so much of what we're talking about, I personally think most of what we need to be talking about is behavior change. And behavior change, apps are great, maybe for a short period of time, maybe it stays with you, maybe it doesn't. Fitbits have been shown to have a tremendous effect for 30 days. Not 60 days, not 90 days, 30 days. So someone's got to talk to people about what kind of behavior changes, what is health. So, and the example that I'm most focused on myself is about physical activity. I'm really interested in how we really impact that, because since my birth, every United States president has talked about how we need to become more physically active as a nation. And this is the curve. Since the 60s, every single generation has gotten less physically active, and less physically active as we age. And that's not a given. There are countries around this world where people become more physically active as they age. To me, that's a really magic bullet to look for. But why is it people aren't? What are all those barriers? How are we actually trying to knock down those barriers? No, I feel like there's just not enough work going into that. That's what I'm really interested in myself. Or healthy food. I mean, we sort of talk about it. Our hospital serves healthy food and it's delicious. But most of our community takes their kids to fast food.
Okay,
So
we're on this whole level of empowerment, right? We agree that there are things that we can do to reduce our stress, improve our health, exercise, measure our telomeres, see how healthy we are. But at the end of the day, then do we need drugs? Do we need treatment? Are we still going to get disease? And the question is yes, and the answer is yes. We're still going to get disease. We may delay it or prevent it to a certain degree. But Robert, tell us a little bit about our genomes and how much of what we do can be prevented versus treated.
Well, I could just give you some examples of what we're doing at Orgenesis, which is a very interesting regenerative medicine company that really is focused on enabling the development and the availability of these many different disease-modifying technologies and therapeutics. And they come out of cell therapy and regenerative medicine.
Louder.
Louder? How's that? Better? A little better?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me give you an example of one disease that could be cured that Orgenesis happens to be working on. So you've heard of diabetes. We've mentioned diabetes before, but there are different types of diabetes. There's the insulin-resistant diabetes, which is type 2 diabetes, which the majority of diabetics have, and which is a very important growing epidemic within our country due to obesity largely. Then there is type 1 diabetes, which is an autoimmune disease, where your immune system actually kills your pancreas. Your pancreas can no longer produce insulin. And so a type 1 diabetic is absolutely tied to monitoring their insulin levels multiple times a day and taking insulin shots multiple times a day. Their life is just tied to this insulin. We hear about all these new technologies of pumps and the measurement devices to improve the quality of life, and all of those are important. But what happens if we could cure that disease? So Orgenesis is working on, and we don't have the cure yet, but is working on a technology where we take liver cells from the patient and we modify them epigenetically. We change the function of genes in the cells so that that liver cell, after it's been modified, now acts almost like a pancreas cell in that it produces insulin and it responds to glucose. Now we grow these cells into billions of cells. We put it back into the patient's, these are the patient's own cells, put it back into their liver, and their liver can now produce insulin and respond to glucose.
Wow.
So that's the kind of amazing things that we can do when people are working on